Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, everybody, especially the other panelists. This really is an incredible team that tries to address religious freedom wherever we can. I really want to commend the Institute on Democracy and Human Rights for bringing religious freedom to this summit. It is the fundamental human right, because what's inside of us, what we think and what we feel and what we believe in relationship to our faith is sacred. It's sacred even if we don't believe anything, even if we're searching and we don't know what there is, or if we're not searching, if we just want to have internal peace. Which one of us does not want to have internal peace? And so it is an unassailable right. And as soon as it goes, as soon as we allow society to infringe on what people believe and what they're allowed to believe, and what relationships with whatever they consider sacred they can hold inside of them, if we infringe on it, then the other rights go. Women's rights go next. We know that religious persecution or persecution of any religious group by a large religion that's in charge, or a government that has picked a religion, it means that women do a lot worse in those countries or regions. The environment actually does worse when there isn't freedom of conscience. If you trace the progression of rights, eventually the rivers are dirtier. I worked at the largest employer of retired American police officers in the world, and we know that if you don't have freedom of conscience protected in your society, the judiciary stops being impartial. It stops protecting each individual as sacred and their rights as sacred. And then it is tempted by corruption. And then the police force goes from being an entity that serves and protects the people to being an organized crime unit itself. So we at the IRF Secretariat, we look at this and we say, every person needs to be protected. Their freedom of conscience needs to be protected, because it leads to national security, and it leads to a functioning society where atheists can thrive. Everybody gets to thrive. I want to say, as a Sikh, we're the 5th largest religion in the world. Many don't know us because we're like, if you have 2 billion Christians and 1 billion Muslims and 1 billion Hindus and 400 million Buddhists, then next you have about 25, 30 million Sikhs. So we're much smaller than the other religions, but all of these faiths in different places around the world are discriminated against in unthinkable ways, and also discriminate against people. You have Buddhists discriminating against Muslims, you have Muslims discriminating against Hindus, you have Hindus discriminating against Muslims, you have Sikhs that are a minority in every country in the world. And what we found is that this kind of, and then there are the much smaller groups. What we found is that if each group advocates for itself and complains about its own pain, you do get compassion from people. If you have some political influence, you get some compassion from elected leaders who will be possibly from the discriminating group. But people kind of get tired because there's so much discrimination going on that if we talk about our own pain, then people go, "We're so sorry this is happening to you. Next." And since the 60s, the studies show that discrimination is actually getting much, much worse. It's significantly impacting over 80% of the population on this planet. So our attempt at the round table is to stand shoulder to shoulder with one another. So if something happens to a Christian in North Africa, then it's the Sikhs' jobs, it's the Muslims' jobs, it's the Buddhist jobs, it's the atheist jobs, in my opinion, to go there as Nadine has, and stand with the people who are being harmed. It is much more gratifying to protect others. Even my own, I have 2 daughters. When I talk about problems for Sikhs, they look very tired. When I talk about it's our job to protect everybody, whether it's on their playground at school, or whether it's around the world, it's our job to protect everybody. Their eyes light up. The eyes in our congregations light up when we talk about our duty to defend the freedom of others. I'll leave you with one small fact about Sikhs. We wear a knife everywhere we go. Now, it used to be a big sword, back 300-400 years ago today. It's a ceremonial knife. I always have one around my neck. Today I happen to have one, my ceremonial one that I'm carrying on my wrist to remind me of our duty to be ready to protect the freedom of each and every person. And as we said, as was the slogan at our recent Religious Freedom Summit, religious freedom is for everyone, everywhere, all the time. And please join us at the roundtable. Please pay very close attention to what the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom is putting out. Their slogan is to be unflinching. There's always political interest when we decide who we call out and who we don't call out. And I really want to commend you, sir, for, as diplomats, to hold the line that their job is to monitor this issue around the planet in an unflinching way. And may we all be unflinching, and maybe all be courageous to address this issue together. Thank you.